Welcome to the Danger Zone podcast, the podcast that's uncut, uncensored, and unfiltered. I'm your host, Thomas Lee, and sitting across from me, I should say, is my good friend and audio director, Chad Allen.
Hey guys, hope it's going well today.
Well, I hope so too. So, first thing we should mention is you probably noticed, at least hopefully you noticed for all the money we spent, a difference in audio quality because we've switched over. We were using Rock Band mics, which not bad for the price, right?
You bought them at Value Village, right?
Yeah.
So,
and good for the value, but we decided that we were having some trouble with the first couple podcasts recording two separate USB microphones. Apparently, the brilliance behind Microsoft is that not to include any, just natively not to include any dual USB interface support, so you can't really, it will recognize, sometimes it will recognize the same microphone, twice, and it's not really set up to...
Yeah, it's a confusing thing to get into.
It's basically not set up to record two separate microphones at the same time. And although we were using Cool Edit Pro as our software to do that kind of recording, it wasn't really working out well, and you could tell from last week's video, we're picking up a lot of feedback on one of the mics, Kyle's mic, unfortunately, so we decided, you know what, fuck it. Let's not deal with Rock Band microphones and a lack of support from both the Windows and Adobe side. Let's just switch over to different technology. So we're recording on a Yeti microphone right now.
Yeah, it's been regarded as probably one of the best USB microphones out there on the market, and it just looks really cool.
Yeah, so it's good, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, and it'll just be easier for everybody. It'll be easier for us to record, and easier for you to hear this podcast in better quality.
Mind you, Tommy, you got this microphone for your birthday. You're now 20.
Yeah. That's something else I should mention. I did turn 20 last weekend, and, well...
you're a big boy now.
Well, for the most part, I'd say. But yeah, it's crazy to believe I've been alive for 2 decades.
Even though you probably don't remember the first half.
Well, I think I remember everything probably from around the time I was 4 or 5. So I remember quite a bit.
See, you're lucky.
I never forget.
I don't remember any of that stuff from 7 and before.
Jeez, Chad.
Except for really, really good things or bad things in some cases that happened in elementary.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't. It's crazy to think that I've been around for 2 decades and that, I'm already an adult and officially no longer a teenager for you. I'm out of the teens, so to speak, right?
Yeah, so how did your birthday go anyway?
Pretty good for the most part. I had insomnia night before, so I didn't think I was going to wake up refreshed or have enough energy for the day, but I ended up sleeping until probably 10 or 11, and then my parents decided we'd go out get some brunch at Cora's, so good stuff. Had a huge breakfast, 3 eggs, 3 pieces of bacon, 3 sausages.
That's nothing for you.
Yeah, that's what we call, that's just a light breakfast for me.
That's a snack for Tommy.
It's to go, right? But yeah, it was good. I had brunch in the morning, and then probably roughly in the afternoon, I met up with Chad. He came dressed as John Cena. So if you saw a post about me meeting John Cena, I hate to break kayfabe, but it wasn't John Cena. It was, in fact, Chad. But, it was nice. It was a funny thing to do. It's just something that I thought was pretty hilarious. Chad knew I would get a huge kick out of it, so it's nice that he did that.
Yeah, I showed up at his front door with John Cena's music playing, the hat, the wristbands, everything on, and...
Salute as well. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. It was something I kind of had been planning for, 2 weeks before his birthday, and I was just it's gonna be totally awesome to do this. And then he really laughed his ass off after I did it.
I did, yeah, it was pretty funny. So yeah, and Chad had quite a few gifts, actually, surprisingly. Let's recount, he had GSP's new autobiography,
which you didn't even know was out.
I didn't even know GSP had an autobiography. That's how new it is. He had a DVD collection of Pride Fighting Championships. Pride FC. It was good that a nice big disc. I think there's 5. It's a 5 disc set.
5 disc set.
And he also had JR's barbecue sauce.
The hot and spicy kind.
Yeah. It'll be a Schlobberknocker, right, Chad?
That's for sure. So if anyone wants to come for a barbecue, you're welcome to drop by at some point.
No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not.
Okay, well, it is Tommy's barbecue sauce, so if he says
It's not
no,
happening. I'm sorry. I'm not paying for other people to enjoy food. It's not happening. Make your own barbecue and come over then. Jeez, stop mooching off of me.
All right, whatever you say, Tommy. So,
Right.
What's next?
So yeah, I mean, after Chad had come over, brought some gifts, we sat down, we relaxed a little bit. Just chilled for a little bit. Chad came over in the afternoon, and then watched Goldfinger because I wanted to watch a Bond movie on my birthday, and I'd seen Casino Royale recently, so I couldn't watch that. I've seen Skyfall probably 1 billion times now, and Chad didn't want to watch Skyfall, so no, you didn't say specifically you didn't watch it, but we decided since Skyfall is like nearly 2.5 hours,
Well, that's
we
the
didn't have
thing.
enough time.
We were kind of short on time, so
And
I
thankfully,
said,
Goldfinger is right under 2 hours, so
yeah,
and it's pretty much the quintessential Bond movie. So I mean,
I have a really short attention span.
yeah. So that was fun, and then we drove down to Bedford to True North Diner to meet Chris up.
Yeah, that was some good food.
It was. I mean, yeah, we had been talking about a while. I had thought, Chad, one day we were just sitting down a few weeks before my birthday, and we decided, so what are we going to do on my birthday? And I was like, well, we got to go somewhere to eat. That'd be cool. I'm like, and I remember him talking about True North Diner beforehand and how it's a 50s style cafe, diner slash cafe slash diner. Yeah.
The one thing that I told you about it was the milkshakes were just amazing there. So.
Oh, and they were, no lie. They were excellent.
Basically what they do is they bring out the milkshake in a glass, and then they also have the old-fashioned metal containers with the extra in it.
And
so
there's
you can just
literally
keep
like
adding.
2 extra milkshakes in the container. So you essentially pay for 3 milkshakes. You got 3 milkshakes for $5. It was great.
It was
and it's not like those restaurants where they give you a milkshake and it's like in a tiny, thin, like little cocktail glass. It's like, oh, what the hell is this? And then once you're done, you're thirsty. No, it was like we literally had too much milkshake. We were like, this is incredible.
Yeah, and then even the starters were like
God.
an entire
so
meal.
me and Chad were like, yeah, let's have some starters. Chris was like, oh man, it should be okay. I'm like, I think he was like, oh, the main course should be fine. And then I was like, oh well, might as well. It's my birthday. Might as well go balls out on this, So I ended up getting chili cheese dog fries, which I think are pretty cool thing. I think it's pretty fitting to have in a 50s cafe diner, And
then when they brought it out,
it was huge. Like it was the size of like any other restaurant's entree size. It was that big, and literally I could not see the fries at first. It was just like it was just this pool, like this lagoon of cheese and salsa and beans, and I was like, where the hell are the fries? I'm like, what is going on?
yeah, and
what was it you got again, Chad?
I had the classic. No, it was classic mac and cheese.
Oh my god, mac and cheese. His was literally just as big.
Yeah, and Chris had the chowder, but
yeah, and we're like chowder. I'm like, and yeah, it was ridiculous. We were like, if we had eaten that would have been enough.
But we didn't. We ate more.
I got a burger, even though I had a burger the day before at the Works, and it was a pretty big burger. I was like, nope. I'm gonna get a burger. So it was pretty. Yeah. It was 2 patties, but they're not like your typical fast food patties, like a little disc. It was a patty, like it was thick.
Yeah. And then of course we got to enjoy some great 50s and 60s tunes on the jukebox.
I was disappointed I couldn't find Secret Agent, man.
Well,
it seems like a cool song, and plus the jukebox for some reason just wasn't working near the end. I wanted to get Staying Alive playing before we left, but it wouldn't let me play it. Like I kept putting quarters. I was like, screw it. I put in like 2 in, and it wouldn't let me pick the song either time. I'm like, what is this? I don't know if I was doing something wrong or I don't know. Either way, I was like, screw it.
It was still a great time. I mean,
it was good. It was worth it. I mean, I think I ended up spending like $30, but I ate way more than $30 worth of food.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then that was the NATO Day long weekend, so the fireworks were that night. So
yeah, but right before that, we were the True North Diners in Bedford, so it was an easy drive for Chris. And then Chris is like, "Yeah, so I'll go get my motorcycle and we'll drive back." I was like, "Okay." So first we followed Chris in his car, and it turned into like a high-speed chase almost, in the sense that we weren't going like 120 or anything, but we were going pretty quickly. And Chris was like, he didn't drive like a normal person who's trying to help you get somewhere. Like when you're following somewhere, usually they go like a little bit slower than they normally would go and make sure it's quite easy for you to see where they're going. Chris just like went for it. Like he was gone. Like he would drive. He was, you know, I don't know, maybe 20 over the speed limit. And we're like, where the hell is Chris? Like we were trying to keep up with him and turn into this like Born Identity style car chase where we were following up with him. And he did the turns like just smoothly. He didn't even wait. He was just like bam. And we're like, damn it, now we gotta follow him.
But then he went home and got his motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
and we knew that we were going to be going out on the highway.
And we were good. We were good at first. You know, Chris is going at normal speed. We're following him. We're like, okay, this is all right. And then we left. We got off the Bedford Highway back onto just a regular highway. I think it's, what is that?
I don't even know.
I don't know. It's the highway right after once you get off the Bedford Highway. And then he just booked it. I was like, God. And poor me in like a automatic Camry trying to keep up with a motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean, like you always said, Camrys are good spy cars, right?
No, they are not good spy cars, Chad.
That was only back for our one video that we used it for.
We're talking the old me. This is when I had a BlackBerry. I was not making sense of my technology choices.
Yeah, no. But in all, it was pretty awesome.
Good, yeah.
Though.
So we got back after having to, you know, high-speed chase Chris down the highway so we could keep up with the bastard. When we got back, went down to a liquor store, picked up some bourbon. I haven't had bourbon in a while, so that was good. Got some bourbon. Chad got a small bottle of rum. Yeah.
Which I still haven't finished yet, but
yeah, he's
I left it at Tommy's purposely.
And poor Chris, the world's poorest Irishman in the sense that he could not drink.
Well, he was taking that new medicine or whatever.
Accutane or whatever. I think it's Accutane. I don't know.
If you want to know
Accutane.
more,
I can't remember either way. I don't.
If you want to know more about that, ask Chris.
I'm not good with medical names, but yeah.
Your sister's a doctor, though. You should be.
No, you see, that's the thing. People are like, oh, maybe you'll go to medical school and become a doctor and you'll be a famous surgeon. I'm like, no. Do you realize how bad I am with like the sight of like wounds and blood? Like, I don't care if I punch someone and there's blood coming out. I can handle that. But if I was like on an operating table, I had to cut someone open and blood started gushing out, I'd faint in the operating room. The only kind of doctor I could be is like a pediatrician or something, like, and even then I'd probably see one or two things that freak me out. Plus I'm forgetful, which is not something you want from a doctor. Oops, left my scissors in there, I'll have to go back in and get them. And yeah, it's just, you need someone who's good with a lot of details. For the most part, I'm someone who kind of just glosses over. I'm the bigger picture. So I don't think I'm a good doctor. Like, I probably would not pass any kind of medical exams.
So if I
like any med school exams or any, I wouldn't pass any of those.
So if I was hit by a car and laying on the side of the road and needed to be operated on right away, you wouldn't cut me open and save my life.
Now, if it was a movie, see, I think
like the one we're filming,
I wouldn't make a good real doctor, but I think I could be a TV doctor. I think I could pull it off. Like, I think I have the demeanor and I could pull off the professionalism that I could look like a TV doctor.
This is a real actor here, guys. You know that.
A real actor.
Well, you've seen all the videos that we've come out with.
It's a fine example of my acting chops, right?
Yeah.
No, hopefully the next movie I'll be able to demonstrate that more. I think it was just that time period when we were making the last movie, I just wasn't in the
which has officially gotten underway. We got our first scene out of the way. And
yeah, sort of mulling over the script a little bit more, but we'll do some recording. Don't know if it's going to be feature length anymore. Probably not, but should be a good 20-30 minutes, so should be a good little adventure.
I can't wait for it to finish. Plus, we get to use our new toy.
Exactly, our new professional camera.
Everyone seems impressed by it, and
yeah,
hopefully the end product looks as good as the camera.
Yeah, well, hopefully the movie turns out well. I hope so.
Yeah, so
yeah, well, where were we on the birthday?
Basically, we were chasing Chris on the highway.
And once we got back, we went to the liquor store. I picked up some bourbon. You picked up some rum.
And Chris didn't pick up anything
because he was acne treatment, and he's still, I think, like 3 or 4 months. He's only 3 or 4 months in. He's still got some time. So yeah, so he didn't drink anything, but he agreed to tag along. We came back, chat a stiff drink of rum, and played some Rock Band. You know, typical stuff.
Yeah, and then as we were playing Rock Band, we had mentioned that we were going to go to the fireworks later, but then I had also mentioned to you guys that there was the concert, and Chris is like, "Wait, who's playing?" And I told him that it was Joel Plaskett, and he's like,
she's like,
dude, seriously?
Dude, seriously. And I mean, Chad probably wasn't thinking about it because he knows I hate concerts and I just don't really care. Like,
but I mean, Chris really wanted to go, and I mean, I wanted to.
We wanted to go see the fireworks anyway, so we went down. I mean, I think
we were the half hour early, so we saw the end of the show,
which is good for Chris. He saw the 2 songs, or he heard the 2 songs. I guess saw it too. He saw them perform and heard the 2 songs he wanted to hear.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of people down there compared to even like Canada Day, which is surprising.
Yeah, well, it's Natal Day. It's because it's more Halifax related.
Yeah,
than Canada Day.
But I think it was also because with the Music Act being more well known than some of the other ones that they had.
Who was it at the Canada Day concert?
The Tokyo Police Club.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, some.
I don't really listen to them.
I haven't heard much of their stuff, but I mean,
Yeah, but a bigger name, at least one that's probably more popular locally, right?
Yeah, exactly. Joel Plaskett's been known all over the place. And, yeah, and then the fireworks happened. And...
Yeah, I didn't really. The concert was just too loud. I was like, and Chris the bastard brought
earplugs.
He brought earplugs. I'm like, why would you go to this concert if you had to bring earplugs with you? It's like it's because it affects my hearing. My ears are fucked up, bro. I was like.
But a lot of people take earplugs to concerts because earplugs. A lot of people have that assumption that earplugs, you just can't hear anything.
I mean, they're not completely noise canceling. They just eliminate some of the louder decibels, so
exactly
it doesn't damage your hearing. And probably would have wanted some. So eventually, I was like, let's not stand in the center here. So we got out of that surprisingly, and then went down to see the fireworks. They were good. They're off. I like the ones that are off the bridge.
Yeah, the ones off the bridge are really awesome. I mean, both me and you were hoping that they did the waterfall effect. It didn't happen though.
No,
I mean, there was still some really good effects, and I got a video of it, so that was pretty awesome. And I mean, I was impressed.
Yeah, so I mean, all in all, pretty good day. I mean, we got back, probably had a couple more drinks. I watched. I finally had some drinks. I didn't drink that evening beforehand because I had to drive
driving.
Down. Yeah. But once we got back, it was like, now it's time to bust open the Jim Beam. It's like, now it's time.
Yeah, but then Chris had to leave early, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we watched some...
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Yeah. One of my favorite movies.
Which just happened to be on TV, and we're like, oh, cool.
Okay, cool. There wasn't anything else on anyway, so...
No, I mean, it was like 11:30 at night, so what do you expect?
Yeah, all in all, it was a pretty good evening. I mean, we did a lot that day. There wasn't a lot of time to just sit down and stop, which I think was a good thing.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, you're 20 now, and I'll be 20 in a month from today.
Now we got to start planning what we're going to do for Chad.
If anyone has any suggestions, feel free to contact us. But I don't think anyone will, but oh well. Yeah. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your birthday now, so what's next in the future for you, Tommy?
Well, I guess a lot. There's a couple of things. I mean... I've been on my first co-op term for my degree. I'm in computer science. I'm an undergrad in computer science, and my first co-op term, and it's almost done. Actually, at the end of this week, I'll be finished Friday.
Yeah, and that's the end of your second year, basically, right?
Pretty much. I mean, technically, my second year's already done.
But yeah. I'm just getting into logistics there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be done soon, and then thankfully, unlike some people, I'll have a few weeks to do a co-op report, right? I think actually probably closer to a month. So quite a bit of time to do a co-op report.
When I was talking to my cousin, who also went through the Dell and the computer sciences, he said that he had pretty much like 3 or 4 weeks to do his co-op
It depends when you start, and, I mean, some people, I think, if you do, like, essentially, if you do... like completely like throughout I think I'm on the minimum, I think like 14 weeks. Yeah I think, and that's the amount I'm actually allowed to have, you know what I mean? I'm not allowed to do more than that.
Was it that you started late or something? I can't remember.
I started early, like I started a few days early.
Oh, it was early. Okay.
But a couple people in my office started a couple weeks beforehand. Like Mo started like I think essentially 2 weeks beforehand, so he finished up a couple weeks early so he could head back to Egypt. Yeah. So
what exactly do you do in your co-op job?
Well, I mean, I picked up a research project from a grad student who had left and graduated. So I basically picked up his project, and I've been implementing new things and improving small things here and there, you know.
It's not top secret, is it? So
No,
we can actually talk about it on here? Or
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Dalhousie Computer Science. I mean, it's not government secrets. It's not like if I was at Lockheed Martin or Pratt and Whitney, like
well, which
really
I mean,
classified things.
my cousin went to Lockheed Martin. And yeah, that
he wouldn't be allowed to say a single
no,
thing.
he won't even tell me, and he's my own family. But
Yeah,
that's how serious it is there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, they're defense contractors. You cannot let stuff out. Like, I thought I heard that they weren't even allowed to use phones in there, like with the cellular service switched on. Because if you were to leak anything, like even just take a picture of one of the plans or something, like, and that got out that you leaked it.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, and I mean, he had to get a lot of security clearances, and it was crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not too exciting, so I won't get into it too much. Yeah, but I mean, do you want me to talk about it, Chad?
Well, hey, it's your podcast, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, essentially, what the project is, so it's called a Focus Plus Context display. So the idea is say you have a projection of something, maybe a large map, maybe a blueprint on a wall or some projection screen. Right now, based on technological limitations, those displays usually aren't of a very high definition, and certainly not clear enough that when you have something blown up quite largely to show an entire image of something, be it a map or a blueprint, that you wouldn't be able to get clear detail.
Yeah, the detail's not there.
So the idea is you have a focus display that's smaller but has a higher resolution. For example, a smartphone now these days, I mean, you have full HD smartphones, quite a high resolution. So you have a smaller display you can use to get details, the focus of the context display.
Yeah.
So that's the basic idea. I mean, for example, say you had a map of all of Halifax, right? And it's blown up there, you get the basic idea. But say you wanted specific details about street names and stuff like that, or you want a more clear image, you could use the focus display to get that. And also, you know, you could display other things alternatively on the screen. Like, for example, say you have a regular map on there, and then maybe you want like satellite view on the focus display. So it's kind of that's what it's kind of about. And yeah, so the original prototype that was designed, I believe it was early 2000s, for Xerox PARC. The basic context, a Focus Plus Context project they had was, you had the larger screen, which is just a big projected screen. I think it was just a big display basically, but not very clear. And then you had an embedded screen, like a small like LCD, like no more than maybe 20 inch, probably smaller than that. And that was your focus. And our project extends that so that instead of having it focused as the original design was, you could have a mobile display that you can move around, like an iPhone, something like that, which is actually what we use.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so a couple things I've been adding to that project is they were using a server beforehand to handle communication between the focus device and the context display. And basically with that, I replaced the server with a lighter protocol to basically allow communication more like quickly and more smoothly, so that there's no delays like in the original prototype. And the second thing I've been adding recently, and I'm getting close to finishing, is face tracking. So basically you could track the position of someone's face and adjust the image on the focus display to match corresponding to what this display would be for the so yeah, I'm trying to explain this in a way. I'm not very good at explaining things, I've noticed. But essentially, so there's the phenomenon is known as parallax. So if you have a projected image and you have a smaller focus display, and say you move away from the display, if you're viewing it straight on, there's no problem. But if you're viewing it on an angle, or basically if you're viewing it on an angle, the image won't look right, because you'll be on an angle, but the image itself hasn't really adjusted, so you're getting the view incorrectly. Basically, certain images in the background should be larger or smaller based on where you're viewing, from what angle you're viewing the image at on the focus display. And the original prototype obviously didn't adjust for that, especially because it was a fixed display. And our prototype with the face tracking is supposed to use data, basically like marker points on like the corners of the eyes and nose, the corners of the mouth, to track where someone's viewing on, like what kind of angle they're viewing on, so that it can adjust the image correctly so that you're getting the parallax feature correctly. Kind of boring. I probably screwed up the explanation, but basically, so you know what I've been working on. That's what I've been doing. It's interesting. It's frustrating at sometimes because I'm dealing with iPhone development, iOS development, and it's a pain in the ass for anyone who hasn't done it.
And you're not an iPhone
I
guy.
don't own an iPhone. In fact, I pretty much essentially torture one each day in the office. But
this is why we're Android guys.
Exactly. And I mean, I just like custom. I like the ability to customize things. I like open source. I like freedom. And I just don't like a lot of the ways they have things set up with Apple, like the fact that you have to pay a developer's license to develop stuff for their device. Then you have to go through their app store based on their rules. And if you don't conform to what they decide an app should do or meet their standards, I'm doing air quotations, you can't see that, but standards, then they don't let your app on. I just don't like it. I think it's kind of bull. I mean, I respect the fact that the iPhone essentially revolutionized how smartphones are today, but I think since the creation of the iPhone, they really haven't innovated that much.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna get hate mail for this, but that's fine.
Well, see, I'll be the good guy here since you're being the bad guy for
okay.
Apple.
He's gonna be the guy everyone likes. Everyone's gonna hate me for this.
Well,
right.
I'm not gonna be the good guy. I mean,
play devil's advocate, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an Apple guy. I haven't really used them much. I mean, but it's like any company. There's always going to be the goods and the bads of every product.
One thing about iPhones are the hardware quality is excellent. And like, even though technically when it comes out, it's probably like some of the stuff in there is probably a little bit out of date anyway in comparison to Android devices, it's solid hardware. Rarely do you have to worry about something breaking down over a period of time. If there are defects, they'll happen usually in the warranty period. So
I mean, the couple of things that I've seen, a lot of people seem to like Apple's like metal body compared to like Samsung's plastic
Well, technically,
body.
you've got the glass.
The glass. And on the outside, it's metal. Yeah. But there's the actual body that some people seem to prefer.
It's very elegant. Same thing. I mean, the Xperia Z has the glass body, and HTC One is a complete aluminum, so-called gapless body. And I mean, the thing about Samsung that I think probably kills it a little bit is the plastic. I mean, it's not that it's terrible plastic, it's just plastic doesn't, you don't get the same feel from it. Even though I think plastic's probably more practical, because if you drop it, you don't have to worry of the glass shattering or a big dent in aluminum, right?
You're also trying to conserve weight. I mean, that way you can add more weight in parts and better parts. And you never know. But the other thing that I do want to push in, I mean, I've seen it numerous times because of the fact that with my visual impairment, I mean, the accessibility that iPhones and that Apple has given to the blind and visually impaired community is huge. I mean, sure, Samsung with their Android devices have some accessibility, like any other product out on the market.
They have some degree, yeah.
But it seems that Apple has honed in more than any of the other companies. I'm not saying they're perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect.
No, but they're doing the best by your judgment?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean I'm going to use it anytime soon, but I know people that... I have a friend who's got less vision than me, and she uses an iPhone all the time, and she loves it. And even Tommy, you remember Mackenzie? He has an iPhone now. I mean, I don't understand why he has an iPhone. He has barely any vision at all. But
hey,
it was just that. Oh, I want to look cool and be part of the general community and have an iPhone.
I mean, part of the appeal to Apple is their brand. Like, if Apple started letting other companies use iOS on their device, they'd lose a lot of their appeal, because it's supposed to be you can only get the iOS experience on an Apple device, and that way they also guarantee quality and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's just something, I mean, I don't hate on it too much. I know a lot of people really like take a huge dump on Apple, the same way there's probably people who take a huge dump on Android, but at the end of the day, I think it's not a huge deal. I personally don't like it, but there are strong points. The hardware is one of them. Another thing is software support is really solid on Apple devices.
I mean,
like
yeah.
the older iPhones still get like the new updates. Like most, I
Yeah.
think it's up now due to I think some hardware limitations or just Apple being Apple. I think it's up to the 4S, I believe, or
Maybe.
the 4
Yeah.
that's getting iOS 7. But that's still great. Like considering how some Android devices after a year you don't get updates from the manufacturer. Like maybe a year or two, sometimes you don't get updates from the manufacturer, and then you're forced to root and get ROMs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but
Or
I mean,
stop.
after like 4 years or something, do you really want to be using the same device?
No, and even if it was possible to have iOS 7 on like the first iPhone, would you really want it? Like,
Yeah,
would it really run smoothly? Would it be worth your time? I'd say probably not. But that's another thing. Apple does a good job supporting their older hardware, like getting new iOS on there. And as far as I know, it works well up until a certain point, right?
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. Like when smartphones first started coming out, I mean, Apple had the market. They were basically the only contender.
I mean, I'll say this now. They essentially, I don't know if they invented, but they essentially came up with they set the standard for what the idea of a smartphone should be.
But then Androids took over.
But the problem is, I mean, they do small things here and there, and they add certain hardware and software features, but I don't feel like they've greatly innovated, and I just like the policy and the philosophy behind Android quite a bit more. And the fact that there's small things to me, and I just prefer Android. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, now that we're talking about Apple, should we talk about the new movie about Steve Jobs coming out on Friday?
Oh, boy.
Starring Ashton Kutcher, by the way, which I'm sure some of
okay.
you have seen the TV
Well,
commercial.
Chad, you've opened up a whole new can of worms.
Hey, that's what I'm here for, right?
He's doing a good job. So Jobs, if you don't know what it's about, is basically a biopic on Steve Jobs. And who do you think they'd cast as Steve Jobs? Think about it. Would it be Noah Wyle again, who did a wonderful job in Pirates of Silicon Valley? Would it be a underrated, talented actor who could capture the drive and the complexity of Steve Jobs? No, Ashton Kutcher. It's basically, I've given it the alternative title, Dude, Where's My Company? I mean...
But like you told me before, they did it mostly for appearance.
Yeah, if you look at old photos of Steve Jobs and compare it to Ashton Kutcher, especially now that he's on set, it's pretty uncanny resemblance, right? But the problem is, personality-wise, they're so different. I mean, I have reservations whether or not, especially because Ashton Kutcher has this kind of typecasted image, but I don't know if he's going to be able for me to... First of all, I don't know if I can look over it. I'll try my best if I do go see the movie.
I think for me, the fact that Ashton Kutcher was playing the role of on 2.5 Men there for the last couple of years, and now he's stepping into this role. You're going from a less serious role to this, oh, I'm awesome.
Well, that's the problem you get when you get typecasted and you accept typecasted roles, because he's been playing Michael Kelso / whatever the hell his character's name is, and Dude, Where's My Car? He's playing the same character each time, right?
Yeah.
He's playing himself, basically, a very goofy version of himself.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they portray him, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, initial reviews are bad. They showed it off, I think it was it Sundance? It was at a movie festival. They showed it off, and initial reviews were not positive. Like, I think it was at best mixed.
But I mean,
Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, saw the movie, and he said the 5 minutes he saw, he said it wasn't right. He said they didn't get try to portray me as a professional at that point, and I wasn't anything like that. I wasn't ever in a suit and tie. Steve Jobs wasn't some kind of visionary guru, cult of personality stuff that people see him as now, and how the movie portrays him. But I mean, hopefully the actual end product is better than we're expecting right now. But from what I've seen so far and what I've heard, it's not going to fare well.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean,
maybe financially it'll fare well.
I think from what I've been telling from some of the trailers, it almost looks like they're trying to go for a comedic approach to it, which I don't know if
I don't think it's comedic. It's an inspiration. It's one of those
but
generic inspirational films that, I mean, I really hope they do portray some of the challenges Steve Jobs had. Like, you know, I mean, they're going to show how they took the company away from him when they thought he was losing control, and he was probably losing control at one point. And I mean, but the question is, are they going to show his relationship with his daughter, or I guess in the early days, his lack their relationship?
Yeah.
Are they going to show things like that? Are they going to show how he treated his employees? Like, they show that in Pirates of Silicon Valley, like Steve Jobs basically making people go insane by like, you know, pulling out their computers when they're working on code if he didn't like what he saw. I mean, doing things like that, intimidating, harassing people. I mean, I think they need to show both, because Steve Jobs is a visionary and a very important part of computer history. But you can't, if you're gonna do a biopic on the guy, you can't just gloss over all the negative stuff just to make him this kind of cult of personality.
Yeah, well, it comes out on Friday, so only time will tell, right?
Exactly.
I mean, at the same time, you were talking about how critics were kind of putting it down. I mean,
but then again, it's critics, right? Sometimes they expect way too much from a film,
yeah,
or they just get wrapped up in one detail, and critics are wrong a lot of the time. I mean, that's the thing. So
that's my point, really, is I'm just trying to say that, I mean, give it a chance, go see it, and then make your own decision. Really, that's how I see it. And I mean, I'll go see it, probably.
We'll probably go see it together. We'll take a look, see what it's like.
I was making the joke with Tommy where him and my cousin are both computer science students. I was like, we should have both of you guys go, and then you guys are just going to make a bunch of, like, Bill Gates jokes.
Yeah, like the first 5 minutes would be like, what killed Steve Jobs? PC! That's terrible. Even by my standards, that's terrible.
Yeah, no, I know. Wow, Apple, that got us really far off of the future track that we were talking about, but Apple... Is Apple the future, I guess? I don't know.
No.
It used to be.
I will say it's not, especially from what I've seen. iOS 7 is essentially just catching up to what Android's been doing for a while, and with the flat design, it's nothing really innovative as far as I'm concerned.
Like I said, it used to be the future.
When iPhone first came out, and probably for a few years, it was, it set the standard for what a smartphone should be. It was innovating, but the problem is over time they got complacent because people were happy with the brand and the recognition they'd have from having an iPhone,
and then Google,
that they didn't try really hard to innovate anymore.
And then Google was like, hey, we're Google. People know us. We're just going to...
That's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of... I feel like with Android, there's a big future, and it just seems like every day, like, I mean, the market share they have, the amount of devices that they have coming out, the features, the design, the fact... I mean, that's part of their advantage, is that you don't have to have, like, a developer's license or anything. You can put stuff on Google Play and not have to pay for some kind of membership to design apps. And I will say I'm almost certain Android development is much better than iOS development, because I've done that for 4 months. It's a pain in the ass.
I guess I have to bring this question up. Your thoughts on the Google Glass and Apple's possible... what is it? The iWatch or whatever they're going to call it?
Well, Google Glass, first of all, if they actually ban porn, they're not going to sell any of those. They're not going to sell a single Google Glass. But I think it's very cool. I mean... for people who've seen Iron Man, which I really hope you've seen at this point, Iron Man, like that kind of stuff, like with the virtual displays, like they have that with Leap Motion now, which essentially you can be a lamer version of Tony Stark with that. And like, the gestures and the virtual displays. Google Glass is a step forward to bringing that. I think it's a really cool idea, but the problem is there's going to be a lot of things they need. Like I've heard about people... places in the States trying to get laws passed before the Google Glass even gets released.
It's one of
not
those,
being able to drive with the Google Glass and like that kind of stuff.
It's one of those things where it's the first of its kind, so there's going to be hiccups along the way, but I think...
There's certain concerns with that, with privacy, I mean, and people getting adjusted to it and that kind of stuff, but it's a step in the right direction for something that's really cool.
Yeah, well,
I don't know much about this iWatch. It's essentially just a miniature version of the iOS running on the watch.
I really don't know much about it, but there's been the rumors kind of swirling all over. I don't know if it's officially been announced. I think it might have been, but I'd have to...
Because I know, I think Sony...
I'd have to Google it to find out.
Hey, maybe buy a Google Glass and then search up about the iWatch.
Yeah, we're so cool, right? But basically, it's almost going to be like a little nano iPhone.
Well, I know Sony's been doing something, like they've been designing that, like a little miniature Android watch.
It seems
it's
almost...
gimmicky.
It's excessive.
It's gimmicky.
That you have to have a watch.
Plus, it's not... If it was classy, like if Rolex came up with like an Android, I'd totally buy that. Like if it was a Rolex, like black dial...
But I mean,
diver's watch.
So what are we
That'd be
trying to
cool.
go after, like the James Bond type watch, or
Well, it's very Bondy in a sense. Gadget watches.
the Bat computer? Or,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, the Bat computer. What the fuck is a Bat computer?
You don't know the Bat computer? Okay.
Well, you don't mean like the actual computer Batman has in his Batcave. But what the hell is a Bat computer?
Never mind. Let's just forget that. Let's forget that.
I don't know too much Batman. I'm not huge into comics. I've seen the movies.
I'm not much either, but anyway, let's just forget it.
Okay.
But back on track.
Yeah, stuff like that seems really gimmicky, but at the same time, it's cool to have. I'm not gonna say let's not make it, but I think I wouldn't really have a need for it at this point. But I think it'd be cool. Like the Google Glass and the Leap Motion are things that are really cool, but I'd probably end up just not using because it's not practical for frequent daily use, and I'm just happy with a keyboard and a mouse or trackpad.
Again, with the whole new first of its kind thing where there's going to be the hiccups, I don't think I'm.
You don't want to be the guy you don't want to buy it at launch, and you don't want to buy it the first version of it because it's going to be shit.
I mean, sure,
it's going to be cool, but
I'll beta test it for you if you're going to give it to me for free.
There's going to be a lot of things that are just buggy that you don't want to have to deal with.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, sure, it's 2013 and it's not like, oh, we're just discovering electricity, but
well, I mean, it's one of those things where there's a lot of cool little gadgets. A lot of it's not necessary for me, but I'm not going to diss it because I think it's cool to have stuff like that.
This is the thing. Would we be able to live without technology?
I think I could live for a little while without technology, yeah.
That's the key thing. Only a little while.
I wouldn't want to, like, if there was, like, a choice between, like, I don't know, like, here's a mansion if you don't ever use a single piece of technology again.
But see, our parents did it, and why can't we? But it's because they grew up.
I mean, that's because they didn't have it. Yeah, they didn't have the option. Of course not.
We've known it, so that's what we expect. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So, should we get back on track to where we were like a half hour
I'm enjoying
ago,
this tech talk. It's fun.
Tech talk. Well, it's not Tuesday. I was going to say Tech Talk Tuesday, but it's Monday.
No alliteration for you, Chad.
Chad's Techie Corner. I don't know. What are we going to call this segment?
We'll figure out something.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that's cool, but I don't see an immediate use, and you don't want to be... Well, I see an immediate use, but not in my personal life. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to have Leap Motion, be able to swipe things and do it Iron Man style, but it's not necessary, you know what I mean? And it's not... Wait a little while for competition, for the hardware to improve, and then go out and get some random thing.
Anything else you got to add to this?
No, I think that's good. Yeah, so that's all on technology anyway.
Yeah, I mean, originally back at the very beginning of this podcast, which was like, 45 minutes ago now?
45 minutes ago before we got into technology, jobs, and this kind of stuff.
We were talking about what was happening for you in the future. I mean, it all started, we were talking about your... co-op.
We need a jumping off point.
But I mean, that your co-op is what's happening right now. What's happening for you in the future, Tommy?
Well, my co-op position finishes this week.
Yep.
Then I'll do the co-op report, shoot the movie, that kind of stuff. Work on that, hopefully get all of that done. And yeah, I'm back in the fall again. It's weird with Valve right now for the fall courses because they had the brilliant idea of having 2 mandatory courses available in the fall, then the rest of them available in the winter, and no overlapping. So there's no like fall section for any of the winter, and there's no winter section for any of the fall courses, which sucks. Even if you're here in the winter, it sucks. But if you're like me and you're going on exchange to another country,
oh right, we didn't tell people about that. I don't think, did we?
I think a lot of people already know, but.
Well, some people don't.
But yeah, it sucks. I don't understand what they're doing there. So I'm not even taking that many. I'm taking ethics, and I'm taking a computer science ethics course, and there's an algorithms course which I have to take in the winter while I'm on exchange there. And most of my courses, like I took some random ones, like commerce course because I have to take another commerce course. I don't want to, but I have to.
This is why I'm at NSCC, and I just take the courses that are related to my program.
And I'm taking a couple like Chinese studies courses, like an Asian American literature course.
But then again, you're getting a degree. I'm only getting a diploma. So
exactly.
I'm only as good as a high school student, right? No, I'm kidding. I will get a job outside school. But.
Yeah. So there's that issue, is that it's going to be a pretty light year, I think, for the most part, or light semester. It's just there's not going to be much going on because all the serious courses are going to be in the winter.
Tommy will be a party animal.
Yeah, so in the winter, I'm already signed up for the most part and should be good. I'm going on exchange to Hong Kong Baptist University for a semester, which should be pretty interesting.
What am I going to do without you here, Tommy?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you'll run your own podcast in my absence.
Yeah, I don't think I can talk. I can't talk to myself for an hour.
Do you think we could do weekly podcasts through Skype, maybe?
Actually, well, I do have a thing that can record Skype conversations that I downloaded, so maybe.
Yeah. We could do something like that.
So look forward to that, guys.
Maybe. We'll see.
I mean, the time difference may get in the way, so it might only be like 20-minute conversations.
Yeah, it's like he's going to bed, I'm waking up, be like, yeah, let's do the podcast.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's quite a bit. Like last time I checked, I think it's at least like 20 hours. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Is it 20 hours? Or is that the flight? I can't remember now. I'm terrible with time zones, too.
I think that's the flight.
Yeah, it's maybe like 12 hours, I think. No, I think it's like exactly 11 hours. 11 hours, yeah.
Yeah, that's logistics again.
But
who cares?
Yeah, so I'm going on an exchange. It's pretty exciting. It's their first year doing an exchange with Hong Kong and this university, Hong Kong Baptist University. And, I mean, we found out, I got the email, like, it was like...
Do you know how many people are going, or...
4 people.
4 people from Dow?
Yeah. One person's going for the entire semester, like, entire academic year.
Wow.
Fall and winter. One guy, I think, is going just in the fall, and then me and Chris are going in the winter. And I gotta thank Chris, because a lot of like the influence on this, like, and motivating me, because there are a lot of times be like, oh fuck, my course is all screwed up, now I gotta rearrange like my co-op and all this stuff, and be like, keep going. I'm like, you'll get to go to Hong Kong. And I guess my parents were hesitant, of course, at the very beginning, but they realized that regardless, I'm an adult now. If they don't support me, I'll still go out and do it.
They don't want their baby boy moving out.
I think they're worried that I'll piss off a triad or something. I'll try my best not to. But yeah, I think it'll be really exciting. I mean, it's good because all the courses at the Baptist University are offered in English too, and it's pass-fail, so what do I have to lose, right? It doesn't affect my GPA. As long as I pass all my courses, I'm good, right? Still get to maintain my scholarship. It's good. I mean, it should be exciting. I mean, it's one of those things. It's just getting one step closer to that kind of Bondian lifestyle. Traveling to exotic places.
Meet all the exotic women.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's no response for that.
Well, I guess, yeah. Since Hong Kong is a much better center of internationalism and that kind of stuff, and I hope internationalism is a word and I didn't just invent that.
I love when I create the most awkward times in this podcast.
But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, it's a good time. I mean, definitely take advantage of the tailoring. I'm getting like at least 2 suits. Like, at least.
Tommy in his suits. How many would you have then?
Let's see.
4?
I've got one charcoal suit, one blue chalk stripe suit. I've got one blazer, navy, and I've got one dinner jacket, which is a tuxedo for all you Americans. I prefer to use the British terms because A, it makes more sense, plus it's cooler to say the British terms. So dinner jacket. Now, there's a little piece of trivia for you. Dinner jacket, that's what they call it in pretty sure England and pretty much all of Europe, I'm guessing, too. They call it a dinner jacket. I don't know, like, what is even a tux? Like, what does that even mean? Dinner jacket is, it explains what it is. Like, dinner jacket, it's meant for the evening, for black tie, formal, well, technically semi-formal if we're talking about the history, but let's not get into that.
And I thought I created the awkward moment.
Yeah, let's not get into that because technically it would be white tie that's the most formal and blah, 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 blah. Let's not get into
Really? White tie?
White tie, yeah. I don't want to get into it.
I don't think I've heard of white tie.
I'll explain it to you later.
Anyway.
Nobody wants to hear about style. Nobody wants to hear it from me either. But yeah, I definitely, what I want to get is a Glen plaid suit like the one in Goldfinger that Bond's wearing when he's at Goldfinger's ranch.
Of course you want a Bond suit.
Yeah, I want one. That's the one that's going to be the best. I'll try to make it as English as possible. And then I want a white dinner jacket. Well, I guess technically it'd be
Going to be Colonel Sanders, are you?
No. Colonel Sanders wears a white suit. That's different.
Yeah.
A white dinner jacket is a dinner jacket that's white. It's meant for tropical environments.
Yeah.
That's why on cruise ship, that's technically where it's most appropriate. Cruise ships and like tropical areas, if you're at a beach resort, and for some reason there's a white tie event at a beach resort, that's when you wear a white dinner jacket. You don't really wear. I mean, James Bond could randomly do it because he's James Bond.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times there, but
it's usually in tropical climates, like it's warm places. It's not supposed to be. It's a substitute for the black dinner jacket, which would be too warm.
yeah, I did not actually know that. So there, I learned something
Yeah,
today.
you learned two things. But yeah, those two things. And if I was joking with Chris, we just get a bunch of those. Some tailors do a one-time suit. So essentially, it's a suit you wear a couple times, and it's not supposed to be like something that lasts forever. So you could randomly just buy a suit that would last like maybe 1 or 2 times,
Yeah.
and then fall apart. But it'd be freaking awesome to have like a bunch of like 50 one-time suits.
So would you be able to do like your next co-op over there in Hong Kong, or would you just come back?
I don't think so. I'm gonna come back, and I'm still contemplating whether or not I want to do co-op or just take the summer off. I think I'll probably take the summer off because technically
You'll be pretty tired, I think.
Yeah, technically what happens is my co-op, or not my co-op, my exchange program ends mid-May and courses start early May. So I'd miss courses. Same with co-op. I'd have to find a really short co-op to do.
Yeah. Well, but like I said, would you be able to do one over there if you
Maybe
chose?
if you found a place that'd be willing to do co-op with you, but I think that'd be complicated. Plus, then I wouldn't be living in residence. Part of the reason I went
that's true.
with Hong Kong is it's expensive if you buy like an apartment or a condo or a house.
Those apartments aren't very big anyway.
No, they're expensive. But thankfully, Hong Kong actually gives a shit about your education, so they'll actually make residence buildings affordable for people, and they're actually probably a lot better condition than the ones at Dow, Risley. So I'm a little pissed off that it's cheaper and it's better condition, and I'd be in Hong Kong. So screw you, Risley. Yeah, fucking heard me. Assholes.
So, I mean, you're doing research right now. Is that what you kind of want to go into as a career? Or no? What are you thinking?
Blanket no.
What are you thinking afterwards, after you're done school?
My dad is adamant that not adamant, but he's highly suggesting that I do a master's degree and do at least some kind of graduate studies. But personally, I don't see the use, and I think grad school's bullshit. Now, let me preface that by saying that there are people that go to grad school and learn things, and it is useful, but there's so much like all the bureaucratic bullshit that you put up with undergrad, all the little things, like the little administrative things that people fucking hate about undergrad, 10 times worse in graduate school. Like all the little things that really interrupt what the most important part is, research and learning and improving your knowledge. It interrupts with that. Second of all, unless you're interested in doing research, there's a job that requires you do grad school, or you want to do a PhD and teach or further research, there's no reason to do grad school.
But you don't want to do research, so...
No, I'm not interested in research. I think I've enjoyed my research co-op, but I'm not interested in doing computer science research for a living, and I'm not interested in teaching. So
if you're not going to do research and you're not going to do
why would you do a graduate program just because you could? And you'd be like, look at me, I got a master's degree.
But my question is, if you're not going to do research and you're not going to do a graduate's degree, what are you going to do then after
graduate and work for a little bit, maybe act. I don't know. I thought about that, like seriously, not.
But do we know where, like, what kind of work then, or?
Well, I've been leaning towards either software design, and recently I think doing database work would be like being a database analyst or manager would be cool. Because I find databases to be the most common sense and something straightforward that doesn't make me want to pull my hair out and eat it.
Don't most jobs make you do that?
Well,
that's the whole point of work.
If you really enjoy your job, you're able to get over that, but I wouldn't. There's a lot of jobs I think in computer science that I wouldn't like to do, and I'd be pulling my hair out, which would be bad. So there's software development, which I think would be interesting, would be a software engineer or designer, database management or analytics, or maybe network security. I don't know too much about networks, so I know a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah. Well,
so there's some viable options, but personally, I've been thinking about it recently. I don't think I want to do a job in computer science right now.
I mean, you still have, 2 or 3 years left?
3 now, because it's 4.5 for the co-op, and if I take the summer off, it's going to be 5.
Yeah,
but it's worth it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you get the extra experience. You get a little bit of money from doing your co-op.
Plus, I protect my declining GPA, and it's just good. I'm happy with the situation and how it's set up right now.
Yeah. So I mean, you're pretty set, and
I mean, there are some things I'll miss. Like I know I definitely miss Canada because a few right before grade 12, after grade 11, I went to China for a month.
That was only a month.
Yeah, and I was so happy to be home in Canada. I was just feeling like
what
this
was it?
patriotic loss. I was like, where is Canada? Where are you, Canada?
What was it? Was it the food? Was it the people?
No, I like China, and one thing about living in China and being there with my family is it's relaxed. It's a different pace. Like here, I'm constantly dealing with like social media, emails, schoolwork, that kind of stuff. A bunch of things, and there's just so much going on. There's TV, there's a bunch of crazy, there's just a lot going on. And when I'm home, my ancestral roots, so to speak, it's just more relaxed. You're there with family. Since I don't understand half the media there, I don't have to worry about keeping up with the news or watching TV. And since social media is banned in China, I mean, it's not like I have any pressure to go on Facebook or anything like that. It's just more relaxed time. You just sit there, you get to talk with your family, enjoy yourself. It's just more relaxed. It's good, and I like a lot of parts of China, though. There's a lot of stuff like parts there of China that are overcrowded, and there's a couple strange things that I'll never be able to understand. I've been there technically like 3 times now, but
I don't know. I mean, I would like to travel to different places of the world, but at the same time, I feel like I would only want to travel anywhere where English was the main language, and I have problems with language barriers.
Part of the thing for me, like, I understand Mandarin really well. I don't speak Mandarin very well, so that there is still a language barrier for me. But another thing is, one of the reasons I picked Hong Kong was there's that Chinese culture there, but people speak English as well, at least in the important parts. The university, so I'm okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so...
And plus, I mean, the thing about Hong Kong, it's weird. It's this clash of Chinese and British culture, and I like British culture, tailoring, James Bond, all that kind of stuff.
That seems kind of an odd combination, but
yeah,
sure, let's go with that.
It's very interesting. So, I mean, and it's a very, it's a multicultural center. It's, it's a big city. It's a lot of fun. I'll be excited to go.
Yeah, well... I think we're getting close to the end of our...
Close to. But, I mean, what else is there? I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on right now. There's that movie that we're going to be finished. We're doing the podcast right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot going on. I mean, it's an exciting time now because, I mean, one of the problems was, I mentioned it before on this podcast, is that after I finished shooting the most recent movie, I just felt I'd lost creative drive. I was out of energy. I was tired. I was depressed. I mean, and then I went back for that third residence semester, and that was a bad decision. And it was shitty times, and a lot of stuff has happened. But now that second year finished, I've been doing co-op and gradually picking up doing martial arts, that kind of stuff, getting things back to the way I wanted to. I feel like again since a long time, like basically even all of second semester. Second year, I didn't even feel this motivated and that hopeful. There's hope again.
I still can't even believe that we're almost halfway through August. I mean, the summer's almost over.
I don't feel like I've done anything.
I know. It feels like we just got out of school, like, last week. I don't know. Something like that, but...
Yeah, it's crazy. Just things are moving quick. I'm 20 now. I mean, I've had my first, like, really serious job, like, not minimum wage. It's just like there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. Some things scare me, some things excite me. Either way, it's good times, right?
I mean, at the same time, I know for me, I'm excited to go back to school, which is kind of strange that you're actually excited.
Especially after I was like, second semester, I was like, oh, fuck this.
It's funny.
I was tired of assembly. I was tired of all this bullshit. I was like, I don't want any of this.
I mean, with high school and public school, like, it's one thing, like, you don't generally like it because it's not what you're wanting to do, but when you go into university or college, it's what you're choosing to do. For me, it's
the lesser of many evils.
But I mean, for the most
either way,
people are going in and choosing what they want to do.
There's just new hope. I mean, there's just people probably assume for the most part I'm a cynic and I'm a pessimist, but I do think I have a strong optimist side that, optimistic, not optimist prime side, but optimistic side in the sense that, I can see through like the end of the, at the end of the tunnel. I can see what's coming up next. I believe sometimes that there's hope. And if it goes to hell, it goes to hell. But I think there's a chance for things to start improving and for me to move towards the kind of person I want to be. And that's what the podcast is about. It's about talking about that, about moving towards the kind of person I want to be, and, you know, moving away from what I've been doing beforehand, the things I didn't like, just going forward and towards what I want to be.
Doesn't the saying go, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger?
Yeah, but then Kanye West turned that into a song and ripped off Daft Punk, and now it's not a cool thing to say.
Let's not get into
well,
that.
Hey, I like Kanye West. Don't get me wrong. Besides naming his daughter Northwest and saying George Bush doesn't care about black people and cutting off Taylor Swift. Besides all that stuff, Kanye West is pretty cool. I mean, I like a lot of his music.
And again, that's a whole nother can of worms. But
Yep.
That's what we do in the danger zone.
Exactly. We tread on thin ice, right?
This is classic Tommy Lee for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Me treading on thin ice. No one saw that coming, right?
Yeah. So
I think we'll call it a wrap for now. I mean,
Yeah.
what I wanted this episode to kind of be where I'm going, what I want to be, but I think we kind of covered that and talked about some interesting topics.
I think for the first time not for the first time, but it really seemed this episode, it was unscripted. There was no really planning. We just sat down and talked. I mean, that's why you're hearing a lot of well, what are we going to talk about next kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, if any, I will put it out there. If anyone has any ideas about what we should talk about in the next episode,
what you can do is you can inbox me, or if you don't have me for some reason, you have Chad, you can inbox him too. Give us some questions, some suggestions. If you want to be a guest, you can always talk to me and work something out. I was trying to get.
Yeah, I mean,
I talked to 2 different people. I couldn't get them on podcast this episode, but that's fine.
I mean, I know I've been doing a lot of talking, but I'm not. Generally, I'm not the person that does a lot of talking. I'm not really. I don't know. I'm not great with this whole talking on a podcast thing.
No, I think you're doing good, Chad. I don't think you have to worry about it. But it'll be here. It's a cool time, and don't think it's all about me. The reason why I want to have guests on is so that we can get to hear more about other people and let them talk and interact with them.
Yeah,
so if you have something you want to talk about, maybe there's something you want to promote, your own life story, come on. If there's just some random topic you want to shoot shit about.
Or even Tommy mentioned to me before we started, if you have any questions, again, inbox us and we'll answer it on the next podcast. I mean,
don't push your luck though. Don't troll. But
yeah, I mean,
if you have a question, send it in.
It can be as simple as why did we start it to, well, don't ask about how many women Tommy's had over the years, but
oh yeah, the plethora of women, right?
Well, the Bond lifestyle, right? I don't know why I said that, but anyway. Yeah. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever, just let Tommy or me know.
And I mean, there really isn't too many boundaries. If there's a question I don't really want to talk about, I won't answer it. But
yeah, again, I mean, it's not like
it doesn't hurt if you try, right?
It's not like you're being a caller live on air on a radio show or something.
So I mean, yeah, and we don't. If you want to be addressed,
a star.
If you wanted us to credit you for the question, go ahead. If you want it to remain anonymous, we'll do that too.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so that's everything for me. I mean, I guess we're gonna wrap up the podcast, the putty tat. I thought I'd call it putty tat, the podcast. Okay, as you can tell, it is very much uncut and uncensored. So, yes, I think we're gonna cut off the podcast there and call it a day. If there's anything else you want to add, Chad?
No, I mean, thanks guys for listening again. I mean, I know this was we spurted off into the weirdest realms.
There are a lot of tangents there,
but that's why I'm here. I'm trying to wrangle Tommy back in.
Exactly, once I go on little rants.
Because we all know that's how Tommy works, right?
Exactly.
So, until next time, guys.
Right. Stay frosty.
This has been The Danger Zone with Tommy Lee and Chad Allen.
Danger Zone!